Yeah, Shalom family. This is Brother Elder King trying to put some input to back up the words of the Most High. Plus, we're gonna give some backup also on the book of More. We're gonna back it up also with the Bible. What you're looking at here is an 1885 colored painting of called Indian Warfare, the attack on the Indian village. Hand color engraving show the Indian village being attacked by U.S. cavalry. This comes from a 1885 edition of the Harper's Valley. And as you see, and you read Genesis 49 and 19, God, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. So we're looking at this painting, and this is the actual painting who they were warned against. This was in 1885. Keep in mind the time and the dates. 1885, almost in the 19th century, right? Here it is to see these people are still waging war against the Aborigines. Look at them, bare in the face, dark complexion, right? Not the one that I always show on Hollywood Virgin, because the Hollywood Virgin's got to show the white Indians and the Mongol people. Here are the children of Israel from the northern kingdom, dwelling in tents. Here the troops are attacking them. Children are running. If you see what I'm talking about, the blood on the ground here, you see, almost being trampled. Kids running everywhere. Notice the fringe on the garments, being attacked. The year is what? 1885. And it's coming from this newspaper. Watch what it's coming from. He would say, 1885, warfare, attack on the Indian village. This hand color engraving shows an Indian village being attacked by U.S. cavalry soldiers. This genuine antique print is from the October 1885 edition of the Harper's Weekly. You understand? So that's going right to that newspaper that they were circulating in 1885. In 1885, there was still waging war against the children of Israel, and we were still slaves. We're not allowed to read. All these old prints that you see were not for us to read. We wasn't reading back then. It wasn't concerning to us. So they took these things and printed and put it in the libraries and keep it in the Library of Congress, and it suppressed a lot of knowledge. So that's why we look at these paintings and you check the history now. If the Northern Kingdom came, then they have to have books also that they record about themselves. That's why the man in the book of More, he states that he found the engraving on brass plates. And that's what they did to record the history of the forefathers. That's all it was about. So I mean, because the Northern Kingdom had records and the Southern Kingdom kept records of themselves. Then they just left off and they keep record. The same books of More tells you that they record about their ancestors on brass plates. So all he did was find the brass plates because he was treasure hunting and try to put himself as a prophet. But we know that no other prophet except John the Baptist, and there was no prophet after John the Baptist prophesied about the coming Messiah. So a lot of people found our records and they try to put themselves as the prophets, just like when you read Muhammad in the Islam, he says that he's a prophet because you read Deuteronomy 18:18. Everybody try to make a prophet off our culture, what we call culture vultures. So you're looking at the picture. Take a good look at it. I'm going to keep it up and you're going to watch it and you judge for yourself. Year 1885. Now, I'm going to read from a book here called History of America Before Columbus, right? And the guy is going to read it again. This is written by a guy named Peter Deru. He said, for several years, I searched the Vatican archives, searching to obtain reliable information regarding the history of one the Roman Pontiff Alexander VI, who is much slandered as little known. While garnishing from the riches of historical treasures the most important notes for my studies, I happened once in a great while to meet with some of the original and unpublished records pertaining to the religious history of America, either of the time of the Spanish discoveries or before it. Don't wonder if as an American I considered those documents highly valuable and copied them carefully. Little by little, I gathered a number of papers which some of my friends deemed to be worthy of publication. They attach special importance of the record of the papal intercourse with America territories previous to the discovery of Columbus. So what a lot of the brothers and Hebrews don't understand, 1492 was not on the map. America was not on the map. The old maps that Columbus used, it only had Africa, Asia, and Europe. Something like that. There were just 3 continents. This part was called the fourth part of the world. You can get that book called Toby Lester. It speaks about the fourth part, which was unknown to the Europeans. But all people were dwelling over here, as it states in 2nd Esdras. And they come many other times. From the time of the flood, they even tell you that. The Turkeys even goes in to tell you that the ancestors know about the flood and they keep the Sabbath and know about everything. You know, biblical events that happened here was nothing new. They already knew these things. So what we're speaking about, that the history is still documented. This guy said he searched the Vatican archives. So all the historical records that they took back at the Spanish take, they took them back and placed them in the museum and hide them as we start to elevate ourselves. As we start to learn to read, all of those books come off the shelf. Now you don't know about these things. That's why you have to go back and get old books from the 15th century and 14th to come on up. Because that was a time when you were forbidden to read. It's that simple. You were not allowed to read. So therefore, we have to read the books that our forefathers were not allowed to read. And you're going to find that it was about you, the story that they wrote about you. But in order to keep it a secret, they had to keep you down and make you not to learn, to oppress you. See what I mean? Because they say the more the secret, the more the control. Right? And my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. So he states that. Now watch here now. He didn't say some verse and chapter 185. History of America before Columbus. You got to read these old books in order to understand the Book of Mormon. You got to read ancient history in America. Right? America, Raka means wide, bountiful. The land of America. America. Now, it says in 185. In 189, he states here again. And again, it is pretty well agreed that humanity's oldest traditions recorded in the Bible have been preserved better in America. What has been preserved better in America? Let me say it again. America have been preserved better in America than it has been among the ancient nations of the old world. You see that? So they already know that. So where these records were founded, he found the records written on brass plates and claimed it from a religion and made himself a prophet. So any prophet that came in was of the house of Israel. Like it says in Isaiah 59, verse 21, the words that they put in your mouth shall not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed for henceforth and forever. So you got to follow that part and notice that the prophets prophesied through the children of Israel. Any other prophet coming, like he said, up till John the Baptist prophesied. So any other prophet coming, claiming to be a prophet, he's just a prophet of deceit and a false prophet. They all took our records and manipulate and try to make gain and merchandise of the people. See what I'm saying? So I'm going to read here. Now, he states that, remember the year it says, what it says? In 1885, there was a raging war against our people. 1885, you see the footage here of the U.S. cavalry. Watch it there, what it says. 1885. Here they're raging war against the people. Now, I'm going to read from a book, The 10 Tribes of Israel. The 10 Tribes of Israel. And he states here, it's part say a relic. We had relics, right? A relic that I found in America. The following is from Alexander Messenger. That's a newspaper now. This is not the Harper's Valley. This is a newspaper called the Alexander Messenger, published many years ago in Philadelphia. Now check this out. Did they publish this newspaper and give it to us to read? Or did they give it to our Aboriginal brothers to read? No. So, this was published by the Alexander Messenger. You can Google that and see. It was actually a newspaper circulating. Now, a governor official, right? One of these same governor officials, right? Officer that you see here in 1885, stationed at Lake Superior at an early day before any white settlers had invaded that part of the country. After becoming acquainted with a number of the Indian tribes, found one tribe in the possession of a cockatoo tightly slaughtered. When asked what it contained, they say they were not able to tell, but they had received it from their ancestors a long time ago. The officer prevailed upon him to let him open the article, and when he did so, he found it filled with parchments. But he couldn't decipher it, right? With inscriptions he could not read. But sending the parchment to Washington City, where it was examined by competent Hebrew scholars, it was declared to be part of the 5 books of Moses. Here we have another link to the chain proving that the Hebrews were many years before the white man came to this country, and that the present North American Indians are the descendants. You're looking at the actual painting like I show you. This is a painting of the U.S. cavalry invading the troops in 1885. What year did this lieutenant found the copper tube? 1885. And that's the same year that they were waging war against the people. And the same year, in 1885, is where the guy had the copper tube. That's why it says that in America, there are many ancient records. So that's going to back up the book of Mormon, because all he did was found the records that our ancestors brought here. You see what I mean? So we know that the prophets and things had prophesied, and the Northern Kingdom had records also. And it goes into to us being redeemed from the hands of our enemies. And they know about the life and death of Christ way before the white man. There's nothing that they brought to us. They were keeping the Sabbath before the missionaries came. They know about the Yahweh. Even in this same book, it tells you the names and the towns and the places were Hebrew. Because the Most High placed the righteous into other lands, as it states in 2 Ezra chapter 13. Yes, right, about us leaving and going to another, which is another. Right? So here's the historical proof. Here's the pictures showing you once again. You can look for yourself. And look at that. Read. Read. I'm letting you read. See? Don't let nobody fool you. You got to study for yourself. That's why I don't link up with camp. Let the Most High be true, every man a lie. Backing up Big Judah, because I've been reading the books for a long time also. But when you check secular history in ancient America, or this part of the world, then it should open your understanding. Let the Most High be true and every man a liar. Curse with the man that trusts in man. Bless. Give the Most High thanks and praises. Brother Eliakim. One love. Shalom. Big up the house of Israel. Check it for yourself, y'all.